All right, all you YouTube devils out there, happy Friday. Here we are, Friday the 19th, and about midday for me here in Austin. So as some of you know, I've been off for a couple of weeks here. I wish I could tell you I was on a rip-roaring, amazing vacation. Not the case. I was, let's see, on the 5th of March, I underwent pretty major reconstructive surgery on my lower back. And I just dramatically underestimated how long it was going to take to recovery. I thought I'd be back in the saddle after a few days. It's turned out it took a couple of weeks before I could really concentrate and sit at my desk. So that's why I've been off and getting a little bit better every day. So anticipate being full throttle going forward from well, certainly from today and then starting into next week. Just get an update here on why I've been gone for a few weeks. Now, I'm over here. I'm on our website here at TradeDevils.com. Just a reminder, right, for some maybe new subs, and we've got a lot of new subs and new people joining us in the Discord. Just a reminder, you can always join us for free if you like this kind of analysis. You don't have to wait for every Friday for a Bitcoin update. You can always join us for free. I'm just clicking on plans and prices right here, free. You can do it two ways. You can do it here on the website, or you can join the Discord for free. The link for that is directly underneath this video. It's the first link that you'll see. Although you're going to land in the Discord, it's going to give you instructions on how to create your account, which you do over on the website. So either way to get here, but just a reminder here. I mean, you're going to get, right, here's a breakdown of all the things that we offer to you on the various membership options for you, free, right, of course, and then you get access to the white belt, right, again, about 4 hours of some good hardcore technical analysis training, and then social gets you access to everything but the upper belts, and then if you want to go full throttle into the belt system, well, that's the educational package here. And that's the other option. We have a lot of people that stair step it. They start with free, and then they come into social. They get access to the trading rooms, and then they bump up to the belt system here to really take it to the next level. So just a reminder, you can do that. You, of course, always subscribe and get notified anytime we update videos here. Special thanks to my team who did an amazing job of covering for me while I was out and unable to work. They really just picked up the slack and did some great TA analysis, and much of it not Elliott based. So we've got just a number of different ways for you to approach the market technically. All right, so I want you to think of it as just an Elliott Wave educational portal. There's a lot more that we do here, as you've often heard me say. Elliott Wave is always third in my analysis, but we certainly do use it, and we find that if I didn't think it offered value, I wouldn't be teaching it. All right, so for those of you that want to really take the deeper dive, you got a lot of options. So with that said, okay, enough of that. My thanks to you guys for revisiting here after the break. Now let's get on to that Bitcoin update. Now I'm back to this is an earlier account. We're going to look at this with a couple of different alternates. The challenge here, and is so often the case with Bitcoin, you can count this a couple of different ways. And in this scenario here, so just to review, and I'm assuming you can see it here, we're working on the premise that it's 1, 2, 3, the 4 goes in here, and now we're heading towards a 5 up here to complete this impulse. Now note, I am in log scale, of course, right? So we certainly have the range to support it. You know, the downside of this count is that we really don't want to complete up here, because the implication, of course, would be that if we do complete the full impulse there, that we're looking at I kind of randomly pick those. Let's use 100% the length of the one. Well, that would imply, while it's not a requirement that we make a retracement that far, back to 17, right? Seems unlikely. So we're going to look at an alternate that might support this with a more shallow retracement. Even a retracement to the 38 would put you at 24.4, right? And this would be a common area with the prior 3.4. That would be common, as well as down a level here to this 3.4, which would be in line with the 50. Again, I don't have the top up here, so this is just conjecture on a possible roadmap here in terms of where we're headed. But it gets this at this distance here, if you will, on a 4 hour here, it's easier to see it. Now, when we go down to a smaller time frame, we've got a lot of mixed signals here because we've got just a relentless series of fives, right? There's no clarity on what we're doing because of all the fives. Now, we'll get there for those of you that like to get into the nitty-gritty. For those of you that don't care about that, if you're out here at this degree, you can look at this and say, oh, okay, what's the big deal? 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going up for the 5. Well, okay, again, if we go up for the 5, well, we'd be potentially here. Now we're completing something, right? So if this is the 3 and the 4 and we go up for the 5 here, well, all right, do we want to complete the impulse up here? Well, that's back to where I just was saying, okay, are we going to anticipate a retrace? Even here, the POC on just visible range here, 19, 16 to 20. Do we anticipate even here at the 38, which would be in line with the channel? 24, well, nothing says it couldn't happen. It does, if you don't worry about the subdivision up here, this gets easier to read, right? You can say, oh, there it is. Okay, so how much of a 5 am I going to get here? Well, we could just do a couple of things, right? So we could say, all right, length of the 1 projected from the proposed 4. We're going to get 1618, the length of the 1. Okay, that would be an aggressive projection. Again, out here, it makes it easy, right? So you look here and say, oh, we don't overlap the 1, so the impulse is still intact. Looks like I've got a 5 going in. Off we go. Okay, what's the big deal? Why is this difficult? Well, there's certainly value to just keeping it simple. Okay, here's the impulse. Here's the correction. Now it looks like we're threatening to unleash a 5 here, and of course, one possibility is that this would be the 1 of the 5, and we get an extension in the 5, right? So that would be a little hopium, maybe. The 100% on the larger degree here, 100% would put us up here at 77.5. I think that's not unreasonable here. Remember, that's if I pull back, that's projecting from the 4, the length of the 1 projected from the 4 up here would put us at 77 and change. You could see that. It would require a big kick here, right? So there's going to be stops up here, right? So this is going to require a big kick to blow through that. Big volume is going to have to drive that up to get to that level. Again, of the counts that are available to us, I would prefer not to be completing the impulse here off the COVID low. Again, because of the implication there. So let's. With that said, I think that's probably enough review here of this count, right? It's just one scenario. It's valid, certainly valid, right? All the subdivision plays. There is one unusual bit here where you have this very long extension in the 1 to get us into the 3 here for 5, but it's a very valid count, and some of you may very well have this count. But we want to allow for a couple of different scenarios. One being that we're not gonna top up here. And the other being, if we really start to look into this subdivision here, the Elliottician's going to struggle to find a clean count to imply that we're off here and that this is at this distance going to complete a 5. Now it certainly could, right? I'm not saying that it won't. It certainly could. As we look at the lower time frame, that's a very reasonable projection here. But let's just look at it, because the idea here and where Elliott can be both challenging as well as can cause paralysis of analysis is when we get down to the lower time frame and try and break through that. So let me just show you what I mean here, and then we'll look at, I think I've got it. I've got another count here. I'll just put this off to the side. We'll come back to this. All right, so let's, well, you can see, I know you won't be able to see this in here because that's too densely done here, but this would just see, I'll give you the big picture here. The idea being that we went 1, 2, and we're in the process, right, of either here or here finishing the 3rd, which would allow for the 4, 5, and then we keep going. Now we're over 100. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? We get the same 4. Now, was this 1, 2, and we're going much higher? There's a couple of different ways this can play. And again, I know you can't see that, but this would give you the more bullish scenario here that perhaps we still could be seeking this 5, because this could have been a 1, 2, and now we're going to go much higher in a 3. There's very, very bullish scenarios here if you go 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's with that in mind, that it's nothing blue sky up here. We could be up here at the 1618, 180 grand easily. But it's got to make sense in terms of the count. So with that said, let me go down. Let's go down to an hourly here. I'm going to come out of log because when we get down to this range, we don't need it because we're in a tighter range here. So the first thing to deal with is we're coming off of the proposed 4 here, right? It depends. It's a 4 at either degree off of this complex correction here. So this becomes our January 27th low. And now we got a few issues to deal with, right? Certainly off of this low, we complete an impulse here. I don't think any of us would disagree about that. We complete an impulse. Now, from this scenario, 4 to 5, if this is 3, 4, well, one possibility is we completed the larger 5. Well, but we've already taken out that pivot. So that would seem less likely unless we were doing something unusual here where we had an expanded B, and we can kind of look at that scenario here. So this remains open to interpretation. This could be, if this is the 4, this could be 1, 2, right? We come right to a 50, and now we're off into a big 3. Doesn't quite have the range you'd anticipate in a 3, but it could be the 1 of the 3. So we've got a lot of scenarios here that, right, is often the case with Bitcoin. It's difficult to wrap your arms around it until it reveals itself here. So let's just dig in here. How am I doing? 10 minutes? Okay, let's dig in. I'm going to go. Let's go to a 30-minute because I think you see this a little bit better. And most of you guys, most of my Elliott traders, I'm going to assume have been working with this count, trying to get a handle on it. So, when we were looking back at the big picture, the idea that this was in play, right? If you're at a distance where you're not really looking at the subdivision, you want to see that, right? So you want to see the 1, 2. We come down, we overlap the 1. We got a nice algo target here. If we look from the length of the 2 to the 3, right to the 50. Note here, just as we did here, got through the 50 just a bit. Same thing, through the 50 just a bit. Now we got this nice confluence up here of algo targets. Well, you will note here, and I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when I last did a Bitcoin Friday, that they're a little concerned that we didn't make the median line here, right? So that's always a bit of a cautionary sign because it sets up the potential for trading principle number 4, failure to make the median line equal to or greater than, right? So potentially you'd have this scenario here where a failure sets up a move here, right? Could be down, 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 right? To equal to or greater. It doesn't mean it has to do that. It just means that that's a scenario we have to be aware of since we didn't tag the median line. You really wanted it on the 3rd. That would have been just perfect, right? So it leaves you just a little bit wanting here. Now we do have a nice confluence here from this 50 to this algo target and from this 50 to this algo target. We've got this nice little hot box up here, right at 65, 66-ish. Yet again, though, if we go up here, if we get that, right, we're still not hitting the median line, which is we need to hit that median line to eliminate the possibility of the deeper retrace. So while that's potentially a magnet here for us to be looking at for a target, we don't want it to stop there. We need this to go up here and get to that median line to really lock in, okay, I know I've got a rip-roaring impulse here, and if this is the 3, right, if this is going to end up being, right, this being the 5 of the 3, and this is just going off here to top here, well, again, we don't want this to be the top. Let's say there's 69. We want this would just be the 1 and then potentially the 2 of the 3 of the 5th at the largest degree, right? So if you recall the scenario here, question is, what did we finish here? Because we finished something here. What did we finish, right? Was it the 3, the 5? Right? Is this the 5 or the 1 of the 5? Those are the things we're wrestling with at the larger degree, and the market will reveal itself, right? We'll get clarity here, but right now we just don't have clarity because we have just relentless 5s, right? Everywhere we look, we got a 5. So this remains my primary count, even though it implies a deeper retracement. I don't like it, but the rule set and guidelines are kind of steering me this direction. And the big issue here is that this move down here, well, we're kind of leaning the entire analysis off of this proposed impulse down. Very hard to get this into a 3. Yeah, I mean, you can force fit it. Yeah, and if this rips up higher here and we get a fully realized, well, in this case it would be a diagonal, but if we get a 5 up here, we're going to have to wedge it in. Now, I don't like doing that, and there's a couple of things I don't like. So first, look at this is just standard Elliott looking for alternation. This is sharp, abrupt, takes very little time. Well, we get something almost identical here, right? It's fast, it's sharp, and we don't want to see that. We want to see the guideline would be for alternation. So while we have short and sharp here, we want to see longer, lingering, perhaps more complex here. But we're pushing the edge of taking too much time so that we're distorting the so-called right look. So even if we just did it, right, you can just kind of, this is always, as you guys see me do this all the time. If we do this, and if this ends up being an A, B, C, and we come down here and we tag that before going up, you're back to that question of, is that really the right look? So here, even if I did it this way and straighten this out, right, it's mighty, mighty fat here in the 4 relative to the 2. Now, it could be, right? Nothing says it couldn't be that way. But all we get is probabilities and pattern tendencies. That's all we ever get. So as you look at it here, I base the entire analysis off of the fact that the highest probability is that I've got a 5 that brings me down. A wave. Again, I'm not saying that we can't just blast off here and go get that. Right, that's not saying. I'm not saying that. That's certainly possible. And you look at it. It's hard. It's hard to be betting against that. But really, a detailed analysis here would imply that the 5 down it's a higher probability that that's a 5 than a 3. So if you accept that and you're an Elliottian, then you're forced into the proposed B wave here on the idea that this is an A. Now, there is one alternate which we'll look at, which might help us resolve some of this. But let me zoom in here again, because this is where it gets to be kind of a fucker, right? And you find yourself being a little bit like, your hands are tied because of the Elliott rule set here. But I feel that with you. But trust me, again, after so many years of doing this, rather than fight the rule set and guidelines, if you allow them to dictate your thinking over time, that will serve you well. Now, it could be here that this is going to be wrong and that this we're going to blow off to new highs over the weekend. It's very possible. But right now, rules and guidelines suggest that what we've just done here is here was a 5, right? Here, at least I get a 3 here. Here's another 5. That tells me ABC. Now, yet again, coming off of this pivot, I get another 5. We zoom in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to buy this on the assumption that I'm going to finish in a 5. It's just that would literally go against my entire trading philosophy. I'm not going to buy that because that's a 5. Now, there are all sorts of different ways this could resolve, but right now the implication is if we lean into accepting that this is 5 down, here's a clear 5 up. Here, at least I get a decent 3, as I just said. Okay, so I've got an A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a B wave per the information that we have right now. So, on that assumption and the fact that I've got 5 coming down here, again, I mean, it would be just a brutal force fit to try and get that into an ABC. So the implication is that we've just done 1, 2. And whether this is the 2 or this, we're going to kind of double top up here. The implication is we've got 3, 4, and 5 still yet to come to complete the C of the ABC of this correction, which is now taking more time than we'd like. 5, 5, 3, 5, 5. That odds are that's not the end of the retracement. So really what this comes down to, and what I wanted to really talk about is in terms of the theme of the video today, is that you have to be willing to accept the risk of the miss. In other words, remember, with this kind of analysis, we are trying to pinpoint this down to a gnat's ass. We are trying to get this absolutely perfect. You guys hear me often talk about distinguishing between your trading Bitcoin and your holding Bitcoin. Now, when we're talking about your trading Bitcoin, again, we're trying to get this down just as precisely as we possibly can. Now, I'm down here on a 30-minute tracking every 5, every 3, and with the understanding that this can change. I mean, this can change damn near hour to hour, right? As the market reveals itself, you have to adapt to that. But right now, if you're in this, right, and you're working with your trading Bitcoin, you're looking at the buy down here in the low 50s. You're not looking at this as 1, 2. Again, not that it can't fly and that goes, and we're back here going, well, fuck, shit, I guess it was 1, 2, right? So the market dictates, right? We don't decide. Elliott doesn't decide. The market decides. We just come back here and go, how do we make that work? So my point being, I'm not buying here. I'm not a buyer here, even though it looks like you could make the case that, oh, okay, well, it looks like, okay, 1, 2, oh, all right, maybe we'll turn that into ABC. Well, clearly we overlapped here, so maybe we got a diagonal going in. All right, you could make that case, right? You'd have to wedge this into a 3, right? Good luck with that, right? You can't finish, you can damn near barely finish it with a 5 because this is so ugly. But this is clearly a 5. So if we're going to go, then you'd have to go A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, right? It's a force fit. It doesn't feel right. It feels like you're forcing every one of the swings. So if you're sitting right here, you're looking for that. The anticipation is that we're coming down to give us a 3. Then we know right where we are. Right? But to hold for that, you're willing to accept the risk of the miss, that we pop from this and up we go and we blow off those highs. So if you can't accept that, then you need to go into your long-term holding bag of Bitcoin and say, shit, I'm just buying it because I had a little retrace. And I've had a secondary retrace. I'm just buying it because I want to be long Bitcoin. I don't want to miss the potential ride. Right? If that's how you feel and you're worried about this, well, then make the distinction between what you're doing here. You're just buying it because we're off of the all-time high. If you're now in your trading Bitcoin, different story. We're trying to get this as precise as we can. And now, if we stay with that thinking here, that we've got to come down for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the real issue is what do we do if we overlap this 1? Because this is clearly an impulse. Right? It's a bit of a, you got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but you can get your 5 into this 1. But if we overlap this 1, this count starts to break down. So what's the alternative? Well, if we overlap this 1, so you can see I have an alert on it just because I don't want to, be unaware if that breaks. If we're going to come down for the 3, 4, 5 to the golden zone, we're going to break that and this count has to be reevaluated. So how would we do that? Let's see. What's the easiest way to do this? I think if I go over here, where do I think it's here. Let me bring this up. Oh, give me a sec here. I'll make sure I've got the right one. No, that's the same one. Let me get this one. Fuck, I just did this here. Come on, guys, here we go. Okay, here it is. All right. If we overlap this 1, if heavy emphasis if this correction continues down here, so for example, if we were to come towards the median line here and we stall, so we've got a swing, we get a B wave here. Remember, a B wave is always a push to break to the highs that fails. Well, right now we have the failure swing, but now we're going back up to check again. So the median lines contain this rather nicely. Now we're very early in the potential retrace here, and it's deep. It's not. It wouldn't disqualify you for a B wave, but if we take from the swing high to the swing low here, well, here we'll just go to platinum. Here's the 764, 786, 887.90, right? So we're certainly in the range of where you might anticipate to be. Right? Always trying to break the highs. It's always a push to break the highs that fails. Well, here's 5 down, right? We just looked at that. This is 5 down. So the implication, 1, 2, coming down, right? We're looking for 5 to finish, looking to finish on 5 rather than here. Right? Despite the, oh, look at the lovely touch of the 233, the Vegas wave is in play. We're above the Vegas wave. The implication is we're coming lower and we're going to challenge that wave 1 high. Well, if we're going to break this wave 1 high, then we have to consider that this is a completed impulse because there's so much subdivision here. I can certainly count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can finish up here. I'd almost rather do this because this is actually the more bullish count. I'd much rather do this. It'd come down here, break this pivot, then I know where I am. Hopefully that makes sense. So we'd be here with this completed. 1, 2, clear impulse. I can get it there. 3, 4, 5. Now what did I complete? Well, if this is the 5 of the 3 at the larger degree, I'm cool with that because that just tells me I've got a 1, 2 going in. I'd rather have it be a 2 because all of this is pointing to lower prices. Right? Again, right, I have to say this. If we push higher, all of this, everything I'm saying has to be scratched and reevaluated. If we push up and we take out that high. Right now, looks like path of least resistance is down, but that's just right now. Right? Again, it's a horrible pun, but an Elliott wave set is continually fluid based on the price action. Right? That's what we're looking for. That would imply 1, 2, and then booming. So the buy potential right here, this is back the truck up. If you get the opportunity to buy it down here in the low 50s here, even just point of control. Now granted, that's just visible range. But if we look at this, even if I'm, let's see here, let's hide this. Let me hide that, kind of clean this up a little bit so we can see it a little better. I've got so many things on here. If this is the 1 and we're coming for the 2, right, then we get a couple of different things that working for us, right? So then we get another set of median lines we could work with, whether it's the 50 or the golden zone, right? We know Bitcoin loves the golden zone. Now, look what happens here, right? So we maintain the target from this 50. We don't know, if we're going to do the 50 here or we're going to go golden zone here. I mean, this would not surprise me at all. We put in the C right here, so we'd have the A, B. We'd come down for the C. The structure would hold it, and then we'd push off into a golden corner with this as our upside. This would be a beautiful thing, right? Because if we get there, that's not likely to be the 3. So then the implication would be that that's the 1 of the 3. So now you're thinking 1, 2, monster, right? Now we're well over 100. Are you prepared to accept the risk of the miss? Because if you're waiting for this and we launch, you miss. You miss it, right? Now, I'm perfectly at peace with that, right? If you're new to this and you're like, you want to get everything going, and you want to get every little swing, you're going to be pissed that you didn't take it. I get that. I hear you. So it has to be a function of what your trading plan is, and more so your trading principles. How heavily is Elliott Wave influencing your decision making? If it's when it's easy and I can spot it and we're not dealing with complex corrections, fine. I'll keep an eye out for 5s and 3s. That's perfectly valid. I'm not saying that's not an invalid way to approach it. But if you're trying to approach it the way we teach it, which is to break down every one of these swings into 5s and 3s, you got a little bit of a conundrum on your hands here. Right? I'll wait. I'll wait for it, right? Because I love that precision, man. I live for it. To get that just right. Well, everybody else is saying, oh, fuck, man, we're going, right? The banks are coming. Everybody's coming. Institutions are coming. We're going. Retail's in. They're fat. They just got their stimulus checks. It all makes sense, right? I get it, right? I feel the urge to buy it here. But my trading plan and my trading principles keep me from doing it. So I'm willing to accept the risk of the miss. If it goes, okay, right, fine. There will be another retracement. I'll just sit quietly and wait for that retracement, wait for that clear 3 where I can get on board again. Because it's not going to go straight to 1 million without a retrace. There will be a retrace. Right now, I play, right, again, off of my principles, I'm waiting for the retrace. I'm waiting for that precision, because when it gets here, if it gets here, I don't even hesitate. I know right where I am. I teed the whole thing up. It played right out to my plan. I tracked the 5s and the 3s. If it comes right here, I got structure. I know where I am. I've got a huge volume profile of support down here. I mean, you might have to take it down a little bit to give that some room. But I buy here, I'm at ease here. Up here, I'm uncomfortable as I would be clenching, right, the whole weekend with a buy there. Right, because I would be breaking my trading principles and my trading plan. I don't do that. I find that when I do that, I am almost always regretting doing it. So I give you that just to chew on. I'm not saying don't buy it. If your trading plan is, hey, I work off of structure here, whatever it may be, right? If you're not an Elliottician, you don't need to be. If you're not an Elliottician, have at it, man. But put a stop on it, right? Right? Assuming you're working with your trading Bitcoin, right? I'm assuming that I don't have to reiterate that any longer. If this is your holding Bitcoin, well, shit, man. Well, right? We're off the all-time high. We had a little retrace. Looks like that could go into a 5. Well, have at it. I'm just giving you a few things to think about there in terms of how you're going to approach it. All right, so interesting, right? It's always interesting with Bitcoin because it's so challenging. Right? It's rarely easy, rarely just clear and clean. Right, especially when we get into these retracements here that are stalling. Right, what are we doing? We're going into complexity, right? So, right, you got to break out your chops, your Elliott chops, or you abandon them, one or the other. Right, you got to make a decision, right, and then commit to it, right? And if you commit to anticipating the retrace, you accept that you could miss. All right, guys. With that, I'll wrap it there and. Oh, shit. How do we do here? 30 minutes. That's not too bad. Okay. Lots of things to chew on. A couple of different counts, a couple of different scenarios for you guys to track. If you've got alternates, I'd be curious to see them. So members, feel free to shoot those over to me. And with that, I guess we'll wrap, and I'll be back on Monday. I'm sure I'll be feeling much better by Monday, and we'll dive into alts on Monday and then trads on Tuesday. All right, guys. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.